of Michigan introduces the platform. Jesse Jackson's motorcade is arriving here at the entrance to the Omni. This is Jesse Jackson's family. Rev Jackson tonight will be introduced by his children.
This begins the long chain of history-setting events at this 40th Democratic Convention. Coretta Scott King is in the VIP box. You saw her a short while ago. There are no advance copies of this man's speech tonight. He has the text clearly, but no advance copies.
He generally doesn't speak from written notes, but tonight I suspect he will.
Why have you brought Mrs. Parks with you tonight?
Because all of us rest upon our shoulders tonight. This is a new South, a new America, in part because the cotton curtain of segregation was snatched down. And she struck the first blow for freedom. And so in some sense, she is a moral challenge to all of us and a great source of spiritual uplift to all of us. She is the mother of the modern-day civil rights movement.
Reverend Jackson, what are you trying to accomplish in your speech tonight? What is the message, and also the political message that you want to send out from this floor?
It is that we as a party must find common ground. Whenever leadership is able to reconcile the extremes and build a strong synthesis, we win. John Kennedy managed to do that by putting together a Deep South and Northern coalition. Lyndon Johnson was able to reconcile hawks and doves, because whether you a hawk or a dove, finally you still are a bird. It is my judgment that as we have an unprecedented opportunity here to win, if we in fact can strengthen our base and can have a viable coalition that's inclusive and that's expansive.
So it is a message, Reverend Jackson, of unity tonight?
Or it's a message of inclusiveness, expansion, unity, and development.
Mrs. Parks, can you tell us about your feelings being here with the Reverend Jackson tonight?
And I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to complete victory. Freedom.
Reverend Jackson, some people want your name and nomination for vice president. What do you say to that?
Jesse Jackson called her the mother of the modern age civil rights movement. That was Rosa Parks, the woman who back in Montgomery, Alabama, decided that on a particular day she was just tired of going to the back of the bus because she had black skin, and she sat down after a long day of hard work, and she sat down, and of course that began the Montgomery bus boycott led by Martin Luther King Jr. She receiving very intense VIP treatment tonight, coming to the hall with the speaker tonight. Jesse Jackson will be going into what they call the green room. We don't know whether he'll be rehearsing at that podium. There's a rostrum with a teleprompter inside, underneath that whole superstructure down there that you see behind the speaker. Right now, they're going over with the delegates all the important aspects of the platform. They're explaining what it means and what have you, but there's no question that these people in this hall are waiting for Jackson.
No question, but they're going to an antiphonal response.
Year, one that took them to new heights, but which must still establish its bottom line. The high point for the Jackson campaign, March 26th. Democratic caucus goers in Michigan provide the political pros with a stunning surprise. In a six-man contest, 53% of them vote for Jesse Jackson. Michael Dukakis gets just 29%.
In some sense, it's a lot of poetry, a lot of history, but we also have the most numbers. It's a lot of reality.
He deserves my congratulations and congratulations of all of us on his showing in Michigan.
As Jesse Jackson moved on to the Wisconsin primary, he had reason to feel good about his latest quest for the presidency. It was much better organized than 4 years earlier and propelled by a new sense of pragmatism. His choice of campaign manager, political professional Gerald Austin, who had organized Richard Celeste's 2 successful gubernatorial runs in Ohio. The Jackson campaign had formally begun in October in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I officially announced my candidacy to seek the nomination of the Democratic Party for the office of President of the United States of America. Bold leadership, a new direction, jobs, peace, and justice.
With Gary Hart's reincarnation as a presidential candidate still 2 months off, and Senator Joseph Biden already a dropout, Jackson was clearly the best known of an otherwise little recognized Democratic field. Jackson was out to prove that he could broaden his political base, that his message, with its call for economic justice and its emphasis on the fight against drugs, would reach far beyond an already solid black constituency.
If and when I'm elected, I will substantially cut the supply of drugs, but you must cut the demand for the drugs. You must refrain from drugs. You must say no to babies making babies and violence.
Jackson wanted to show he had mellowed since 1984, when he scared away a lot of Democrats, that now he was swimming in the mainstream.
Jesse has a plan with help work with men. He's gonna bring our jobs back home. Family farm where it's seen.
In February, Jackson finished fourth in the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary, though his vote totals far exceeded the percentage of the black population in each state. Those results were used to jumpstart fundraising. Jesse Jackson headed south for the Super Tuesday sweepstakes with something new, a press plane. The strategy, to hit as many as 7 major media markets a day. The campaign estimates the result was millions of dollars in free television time, a big boost for an organization that could not afford much paid advertising. A strong performance followed. Though he spent just a fraction of what his opponents laid out for the March 8th voting, Jackson won 5 states and 353 convention delegates. Michael Dukakis won 8 Super Tuesday states and 356 delegates. Gore came away with 6 states and 318 delegates. Large black populations helped Jackson take Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Virginia.
Our message is winning. We have the poorest campaign, the richest message. We're the underdog with the biggest bite. We don't have a lot of money, don't have a big staff, we just got the people.
Jackson always figured to be tough in the South, but he needed something else. Victory in a major northern industrial state. He hoped to ride his Super Tuesday momentum to victory in his native Illinois. But Democrats there provided another homegrown candidate, Senator Paul Simon, with his last hurrah. Jackson was second. Then came the shocker, Michigan. A lopsided win, Jackson said, made him the Democratic frontrunner. Dukakis and Jackson were neck and neck in delegates. The party establishment started to worry. Jackson called a Washington meeting with party elders. The goal, to reassure them that he was no radical, that he was supportable. Heady times for Jesse Jackson, but they were short-lived. In early April, he was trounced by Dukakis in Wisconsin and Connecticut. Crowds of white voters did not translate into support at the ballot box. 2 weeks later in New York, it was all but over. New York City Mayor Ed Koch backed Al Gore and said Jews would be crazy to support Jackson. Dukakis got 50% of the Democratic primary vote in New York. Jackson finished a distant second. Al Gore was buried and suspended his campaign. And that was a problem for Jackson's planners, who had counted on a 3-way race through the Midwestern states, with Dukakis and Gore splitting the white vote. Instead, the tide turned permanently for Michael Dukakis. When Democrats voted next in Pennsylvania, then Ohio and Indiana, Jackson was no longer competitive. But the words got more pointed. He added anti-Dukakis rhetoric to his stump speech.
Bush wants to maintain Reaganomics. Dukakis wants to manage Reaganomics. I want to reverse Reaganomics.
Jackson stayed in, refusing to concede.
I'm an odds breaker and a dream maker. Yes, we'll beat the odds. I will never surrender.
Still, there was no stopping Michael Dukakis. Democratic voters in California and 3 other states on June 7th formally signaled the battle for the party's presidential nomination was over. The battle was over, but was there peace? Michael Dukakis and his wife invited the Jacksons to Boston for a